things, but you want the outcomes that these mindsets typically produce. And ultimately, a lot of these older women, they're mad because whether they admit it or not, they have blown their shot and they are out of time. Vivica Fox, for everything that you were in the 90s, um, Vivica was premium in the 90s. You will never see another Independence Day. When you're on Fox Soul, O'Shea said it, basically you have gone to where careers go to expire. And while you're over there, what I hear coming from her is what I hear come from Lonnie Love and a lot of these women. You're using your platform to attack and target high value black men. That playbook is dead. The only problem is when you are outspoken, out in front, masculine, unashamed, and unbothered. Like the rest of high value men everywhere else in the world. Let me say it again. When you're a black man and when you're a black high value man and you just like the rest of men everywhere else in the world. See, everywhere else in the world, high value men can be all these things, and it's not a problem. But in Black America, it's a problem. Well, in particular for older black women, because they get upset with some very core concepts. They get upset with, first, here's some of the big ones. They get upset with the concept of the wall. They want to argue with it. I've actually heard when I say older women, I mean for marriage. I've actually heard older women, and I do not consider a woman in her early 30s to be a young woman. I consider you to be middle-aged. I consider you to be a young woman when you're in your teens to your early 20s. We need to stop calling women over 30 young women. You are not. They tend to have a problem with the concept of the wall. I've actually heard women say, well, guys hit the wall too. No such thing. They have a problem with the concept of the wall. Why? Because they're past it. They're past it and they want to say 40 is the new 30. Nope, 40 is 40. Your eggs say 40. You can't have a new plan with old eggs. They tend to have a big problem with age gap dating when it's a man who's older. See, Stella can go get her groove back, but age gap dating is PETA. It's weird. It's predatory when it's an older man and a younger woman. But everywhere else in the world, it's perfectly acceptable. It's normal. Matter of fact, I could say, Dennis Sperling was talking about in Latin countries, they don't want you trying to date young women when you're a young man. You have nothing. What other concepts do they get upset with? Patriarchy. Men first instead of the matriarchy. They tend to get upset with gender roles. It's all this fluid stuff. There are no gender roles. We're all equals. They tend to have overall problems with what could be considered traditional values. And the high joker in the deck is no matter what, you ain't supposed to say nothing because your mama black and you owe all black women because you came out of one. Now, understand something. They tend to have problems with all of these things, all the while wanting the outcomes that men like this typically produce. You got a problem with the things, but you want the outcomes that these mindsets typically produce. The times have shifted. Younger women are looking at the Vivicas and their mothers and their grandmothers and their aunties and say, I don't want to be no part of that. They're angry, they're upset, they're mad, or whatever, and they will be loath to admit it, that they know in their heart of hearts they've missed their shot. They know they missed their shot, and you can't turn the clock back. And the fact that most, and this doesn't give me any particular pleasure to say it, the fact that most will die alone is maddening to these women, and they're going to make black men feel their pain. Why? Well, especially if you're a woman like that, where you've accomplished something. You're not working retail somewhere. You're not working as an accountant somewhere. You actually have had a career. And she looks at her white counterparts or non-black counterparts, and they were able to parlay that career into access an opportunity with other people, other men, and to lock down a man and produce a family. What did you do what do these women do? You can look at the women who are the most angry, the most upset, the most sour, the most bitter sounding, and ask them, what have they done with the education, income, and access that they have? What have they done with it? They always want to throw it up in your face, what they got. Okay, but what have you done with it? You got it. You got your Beamer, your Benz, or whatever. You got your house. You got your this. You got all that. You got your Ivy League education. You got your masters. You got all that. What have you done with it? You are no longer in the hood. You over here now. You're in access over here. You're floating in this circle. What have you done with it? What has it netted you? And sadly, what has gotten most of them is not what they want. When we look at what 50 Cent said, that he said he likes something exotic. You know what exotic is in the black community? Femininity, submission, cooperation. That's exotic. And there are a lot of brothers that feel bad that they would like to kick it with a sister. Matter of fact, in my group, The Mix, I put out a test, just a little test, just a test. And of the guys in my group, The Mix, they're roughly 500, almost 600 people in there now. Roughly 300 men, 300 women, roughly. Well, no, it's more men than women. It's about 4-2. The net of it is, I said, guys, are you pro-marriage? Are you for marriage or against marriage? Simply. Gave them 48 hours to respond. Over 258 responses to this date. Only 3 said they don't want marriage. A group of black men who are confident, intelligent, and assertive, who raise their hand and say, I want this. I want to be in the top 10% into the top 5% of men. I have this kind of mindset. Oh, yes, and I vet, I look. Yep. 258 responses. 3. The others, emphatically. Most are emphatic. Yeah, I want to get married and kids and everything else. I want to pay the bills and everything else. Y'all will never see the names. So I laugh when I hear black women, older black women talk about where are all the good men at, where I can't find them, whatever. Well, one of the women in my group found hers in 10 days. And I'm not a matchmaker. The thing is, instead of sitting up there being angry and upset with what high value black men like Curtis Jackson say they want, why don't you give him what he wants? Instead of trying to get him to change what he wants or make him feel bad for what he wants, because it won't happen. Because no other race of men, high value men, are made to feel guilty or ashamed for their preferences. And black men are starting to shuffle that off. They're not being bothered by it anymore. They're moving on. That stuff stopped working. That stopped working circa 2005. Y'all are 15 years late. This next generation X black men, they've gone down the path of marriage, broken relationship, divorce, part-time dad, stepfather, and did everything right. And what black men like myself have said, you know what? I've paid my dues. And with what I have left in life, I'm gonna have a good time and enjoy it. I'm not gonna be angry with you. I'm not gonna talk bad about you. But when it's all said and done, the women I deal with are gonna be feminine, beautiful, inspirational. This was a great call we had today. You hear a bunch of high-value men saying the same thing that was co-signed last night, and you can't say none of these men are bitter, angry. They just know what's up out there. And what are they teaching their sons? Brother said, hey, man, I'd love for you to be able to teach my sons about the power and impact of image. I got him in etiquette. I got him in martial arts, here, and here. We just sitting here chopping it up. I'm like, I've never met this brother, but he and I are kindred spirits. And I know there are many more guys like him and the men in my group around this country. We are not an anomaly. So you can miss me with the fact of saying that every black man who's a high value man is self-hating and don't like his mama because he is tired of dealing with lemon-faced, bad attitude, demanding women who don't want to give us what we are asking for. Understand, that's ultimately what it comes down to. You ask us what we want and we tell you, and you don't want to give it to us. You're capable of giving it to us, but you don't want to. That's a battle for you and your therapist. It's not something men over here should be worrying about. They should go on to find who wants to give it, because I'm going to tell you, there are plenty of women wanting to get with these high value brothers. Plenty. And that's another reason why some of these older black women have such a hard problem with certain kinds of high value black men. Again, it's only the outspoken ones. If you are more Obama like, this kind of middle of the road, let Michelle do the thing, they love you. But those aren't the ones you want. You want the men that produce the outcomes that you dislike. Older women, and when I talk about older women, we're talking about from a marriage standpoint. That means women over 30. 30 years old is old to be contemplating a first marriage. Go to matchmakers, wedding planners, anybody will tell you that's just what it is. It's old to be planning a wedding. Okay? Like I said, we got to start calling things what they are. And again, I heard a woman talking about the wall, that men hit the wall too, and how, if you're a black woman, the wall isn't the wall for you. This notion that you can make up rules to suit you just because again, notice how when women like this begin to speak, they want to change things because they've aged past. See, when you still have time, you don't care. If you're 22, somebody says the wall, you're not really sweating it. But when you're 29 and somebody says the wall, then you got a problem with the concept of the wall. Why? Because you wasted those years. The wall exists for a reason. I mean, I heard this woman say, you're just wrong about the wall, and a man can hit the wall too. Or if a man's money is not right, he's at the wall. Yeah, but see, he can always go get more money. You can't go get more time. Can't. A man can get himself together and inside of a year or inside of 3 years, turn his entire life around. You can't do that. Again, age gap dating. The group of women that have the women have a problem with it because they can't do it. Older women dating younger men know that there is no future in this. It is just a short time, but again, they're wasting the most valuable time. If a woman's dating a man 10 years younger than him, when he decides he's done with that, she's just wasted her time. And what you're going to notice is it comes down to time. Patriarchy, gender roles, traditional values, all comes down to time. So go ahead. There's no good reason so many of our Generation X sisters, remember that broadcast I did on Christian feminists? It's God, what do you hear? This career. A career that none of them really have. The most of them don't have. They got jobs. No, it's not an insult, but it's not like you got a high power career. So putting off life, the real answer is marriage and family and coupling was not stress to us. Our generation, the women were told, you don't need no man. Go out and get your job, pay your own bills. You can't trust men. Men are the devil. And it scared the crap out of most women to where all they really thought they needed a man for was to scratch that natural itch. Even when they saw their younger colleagues getting married and having children, it never dawned on the average rank and file sister that that you're going to need a man. They were taught to not need us. And now the sad thing is you got so many women late in life who are now raising their hands saying, I don't want to die alone. But sadly, you're not really fit to be with anybody. And so many of our sisters have been taught to think the men are the problem, that they've never stopped to look and say, why am I not seeming why is this not working? Gotta fix it. That bothers. That's why when I was talking to Tiffany that one day, I jumped all over that because I've heard this for so many. I hate to see, I can't change it, but far too many of our sisters are going to die alone because they bought into this Christian feminist bull crap. And now it's too late. For a lot of them, it's too late. At the end of the day, black men are not your enemy. Black men are not your enemy. Never have been. Whether you believe it or not, most black men want to be with black women. They do. 80% of people want to be with their own folks. Hardworking, good men, earners, providers, six-figure dudes and better. I'm not even going to speak the guy's name. I know every time I hear him, I hear noise in the background. He's doing stuff. And I've heard these men say, out of all the problems and all the issues and ups and the downs and the family court and this and that, still want a black woman. A lot of you sisters don't realize the jewel you have in those black men, and the fact any other race of men would have likely divested and left long time ago. I'll say it. It's my personal opinion. This is just my opinion. Those black men are some of the best men on the planet. To be raised in this country, to survive what we have survived, and for the majority with such ill treatment to still be 10 toes down for the average. Man, I better get out of here.